Hello everyone, this is Anna from Our Paper Paradise, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to make this butterfly. We will be using the template of the butterfly, which I printed directly on cardstock and cut out. I did not keep the little antennae in there because, as you can see, we'll make our own. And to start, I'm going to show you how I make the body of the butterfly. This was cut from cardstock, and it's 8.5 inches from the tip to the bottom, and this side is about the same length of the butterfly body that I have on the template. So I just measured that on top, made sure this was in the middle, and connected the edges, cut the triangle out of that. Now to curl this, I'm going to start by giving it a curl like you would to ribbon, and as you can see, that starts it up. And then I'm going to use this needle tool and start pressing the wider part around it, and I go back and forth for a while until the cardstock is malleable enough to continue with the curling. So this takes a little getting used to, but it's not difficult if you have a tool to help you like this needle tool. So once you have that much left, I'm going to put some glue on there and just curl it shut. This is pretty much like making paper beads. You have to wrap them around a piece of wood or something to keep the hole in the middle, and then just wrap the rest around them. All right, as you can see here, and you can probably see on yours too, there's a side that it's a little stubbier and a side that it's longer and slimmer. I'm going to keep the stubbier side up to the head and the rest to the body there. And I'm going to straight up glue this down in the center. Not sure if you can see, but I left a little bit of an edge around the head there, so that when I go to glue the antennae and the eyes, I have a little bit of a support structure on the bottom to do that too. More or less centered. Now I'm going to do something here just so I don't mess up the background, because we're going to be gluing really close to the edge. So I'm going to use a piece of paper that has a clear packing tape over it, and the clear packing tape makes it so that nothing sticks to it. So if you want to preserve the surface you're working on, you can do that. Just printer paper and glue some tape over it and it should be fine. If you don't have any of that, you can use the little baggie your kit came in. Just lay that down. The cooking wax paper also works. You can put some of that down and lay your work on top of it. Once you have that, we can start working. So we're going to start with a pack of black strips. We're going to take the white strip and black strip that are at the end and putting them aside, because those are extra just in case you need. And we're going to take the smaller strips and putting them to the other side. So you take one of the strips And what we're going to start is outlining the butterfly wings. To do that, I'm going to slide the quilling tool or the strip into the quilling tool, and just about 1/4 inch, I'm going to give it a little twist, and it creates this little tab. This little tab I'm going to want to connect to the body of the butterfly. And that's where everything's going to start. Now, if you notice, this has a slight curve to it, and there's a sharp curve here. So to help the strip get that shape, I'm going to use my quilling tool and just run it along the strip to give it a slightest curve. And I put it on top and see where it ends up. And I know that right about here, I want to have this really sharp curve. So all I'm doing is just running the quilling tool in that spot and using my thumb to kind of shape it. Oh, that was too far, which is okay. Just go further back a little bit. And that's the thing with this sort of creation. You cannot be afraid of changing what you're doing. You try it, you see, okay, it's fitting nicely there. Okay, then that has a curve in the opposite direction. So I'm just gonna run it there in the opposite direction. You see how it's doing that? Fits. And this won't be completely fitting until you actually glue it down. But then you see here, it has another curve there. So I need to go in and curve it a little bit. Okay, so we can start putting some glue down and gluing this shape. And what I do is I'll put some glue on the side of the body there, and then just line the edge. I'm just putting it on top because then we can go in and press it against the sides. So I'm going to do it until here, and then I'll stop and glue that down. I'm not sure if you could see. Here we go. Going to start there, bring it. So you don't want to bring that strip too much inside, or else you'll have an edge showing there. So you want to put it right on the edge there. And if there's too much glue there, you can always grab a toothpick and run it on that. I'm just gonna grab this tool since I have it here, running it on there. If it's not sticking too well, you can always grab your toothpick with glue or the glue bottle and just run a line of glue there to make extra sure it sticks. This glue holds pretty fast, so you should be okay to move it to the next step. So I'm just gonna continue placing the glue on the outline and making sure our strip attaches there. You'll also need some scissors. I forgot to mention that. Okay, now that you have that all glued down, we can see more or less that the outline will end here, so we're just going to go in and cut the strip. It's just this, it's not really on the edge as much as I want it. Okay, now I'm going to line the rest of the upper wing and put some glue on there on the side just to catch that little piece. And you have the top of the wing outlined. Now the piece that you cut from that, we're going to use to outline the bottom of the wing. We are going to start the same way. We have the quilling tool, about 1/4 inch, give it a twist. This little tab will glue right there. It's a little longer tab than I want, so I'm just going to trim it a little bit. And then it's just around, and that is done, as you know, by running your tool through the strip. Okay, we more or less wanted to connect with that part that is already glued down, so I'm gonna measure it and give it a little bit more and cut it right there. Keep all the pieces that you cut out of the black, because in the end we might use them. So a little bit of glue on that top. Outlining. And a little bit of glue along the body of the butterfly just to make sure everything sticks. Place that down, bring the other around and in there. Okay, now I have to make sure this is sticking. That's where your tweezers come in handy. Hold that in there and bring the outline to the edge. This is a little too big to fit in there, so I'm going to trim it. There we go. And you always have a little bit of time to move things around before everything is set. So you can even lift it up and look at it. Okay. So we have one wing outlined. Making sure that tab is glued down in there. The other side is pretty much the same. I'm going to show you how to fill this side now. You're going to take one dark blue, one light blue, two of the smaller medium blue strips, and three of the bigger medium blue strips. The other side. So as you can see, we have the light blue here, the dark blue here, and everything else is the medium blue strips. We are going to start with the lighter blue strip, and we're going to use the biggest template to measure how big it needs to be. To start curling, we're going to slide the strip into the slotted tool, bring the slotted tool all the way to the end, and then you start rolling. You can roll away from you, which is what I'm doing, or towards you, whatever feels better to you. It doesn't matter in the end. You can see how I'm using this finger to hold the paper as I'm curling, and these fingers are kind of guiding the paper. They're not holding tight, especially for the bigger ones. You don't want to pull tight on that because then they will not open as much as you need them to. So I'm going to let that one stay over there for a little bit. I'm going to do the same for the darker blue one. Same thing. Start rolling. And you don't have to roll as fast as I do. Just take your time. Let it uncoil. And then we're going to take one of the medium blue ones and do the same thing. So once they're there, we're going to take this template and we're going to use it to kind of measure. And I mainly use my fingers to kind of feel the gap. If there's a gap, then it needs to expand a little more. If there's no gap, then it's at the right size. Okay, those are the biggest ones. Now, we're going to take the two small ones and use the smaller template to make them the size we need. And the process is the same. And now the two other strips, there are the medium blue. We're going to use the medium template. Same process. By the way, I have this under my plastic piece, but that's just a bit of habit. You don't need it. I will show you later how you can use one of these, which is a piece of corkboard. If you're having trouble gluing the outline, you can use a piece of corkboard to help you with that. And I'll show you on this side how that goes. But we have all the pieces we're going to need to fill in the blue part. All right, now that we have the pieces there, we are going to start shaping them. As you can see, these two guys are teardrops, so I'm just going to grab the coil, and while holding the center, I kind of want to pull the center to one of the sides, and I always try to make the edge of the paper there in one of the points. So since this is a teardrop, I'm going to squeeze this side, and you see the edge is right on that point. It kind of hides it. So I'm shaping it as I go. I didn't do anything drastic. I'm just kind of pushing and squeezing where I need it to be to get that sort of design. As you can see, it's not keeping the tight shape up here. It's expanding, and that's perfectly fine. You will only get that shape once you glue it down. Same thing with this guy. The edge is right there. I'm going to hold the center and squeeze the other side. It's going to make the teardrop shape. Okay. This guy, I made a nice shape here. but I'm going to try and make a teardrop shape too. We'll see how that goes. Same thing, hold the center, squeeze the other side. These guys, the bigger ones, are also teardrops, and one of these guys is also a teardrop. Since I'm going to be trying to make this design, I'll probably turn that one into a teardrop too, but I'm not going to do it until I have the other two in place so I can see what's going on. As far as I'm seeing right now, it's probably not going to happen. You can always place the pieces in there so you see where they fit. And you can always play with them, put them in place, see if that is working out with what we want, and shape them until you get the design you want. I'm gonna risk it. I'm gonna make a teardrop. You get a glimpse into the creative process. All right, I think that will work there, and this will work here. Okay, so I'm gonna take these out of there. I'm gonna keep them kind of separate so I don't mix the pieces that are going in the bottom and the pieces that are going on top. Now, we are gonna outline all of these guys in black. You're gonna take one strip of black. I'm gonna take one of these guys. Put some glue on there. And glue it down. Some glue on the other side. And glue it down. Grab your scissors and cut the excess. This one down. Same with all the other ones. Same for these guys. Take another strip and outline them. Next step, we're going to start gluing things down in the wings. I'm going to start by the bottom part here. I put a line of glue on the side there, and then I'm going to put just a little dab on the bottom. This glue dries clear, so you don't have to worry about it showing up. And I'm just going to put this right on there. And I'm not going to wait for it to dry. I'm just going to come in and put the other pieces in there. We want to have enough space up there for the beehive. So I'm going to kind of position it in a way it does have the space. I also want to have the space down here to put the beehive around there too. So these guys are going to be where that matters most. So I'm going to push this more to the center and squish it a little more like that, because I think that shape is better there. See, evolving as we go. Nothing is fixed. Don't be afraid to change things as you need it. And now that this is put there, I still have time to do a few things. So this one is going to go in there, and I want it to do a little bit of a curve to accompany that. This one is going to be, you're going to have to hold things as you glue. So you're going to hold this guy. This guy is against there, so it won't budge, but this guy needs to be held. And you're going to push this one in there. Now you don't need to push all the way in because we're going to fill that space afterwards. But you do want it to be inserted in there. And then this little guy goes right here. As you could probably tell, I didn't follow any of these guys. I just made shapes and they fit in there, and that's it. Of course, you can totally follow these shapes that are lined up here, but that was not the goal of this template at all. The goal of the template is for you to have something that will hold the shape and you can glue things to as you are building this. So now that the blue pieces are in there, we are gonna start filling out the spaces in between with the beehive technique. So we're going to take a black piece. I'm going to make sure you see what I'm doing, so I'm going to move this aside a little bit. Get the glue off my fingers. Black strip. We take the quilling tool. We are going to slide it in there. And then we're not going all the way to the end like before. We're going to leave it about a finger length down. And now we're going to curl upwards. See how I'm holding the paper down here with the thumb and the two fingers? And I'm supporting this top part with this finger. And then I'm just rolling. 1, 2, 3. I hold it for a second, take it out. There's a little curl there. We're going to move down another finger length. Now this might take a little bit to get used to. And curl up. 1, 2, 3. So when you curl, you reach there. You don't want to go any further than that. You don't want to push into that one, or else this one will unravel. But once you reach there, you can kind of hold it in place to make it tight, and then take it out, and it will open up. Okay, again. I'm going to do it on the side so you can see it rolling. See, since I'm not supporting this, it's going to be a little tricky. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Take it out. See how cute they are? Finger length down. 1, 2, 3. Now this might be different for you, the 1, 2, 3 thing. So just roll it until you reach the other one and no further, so you don't infringe on the one that you have already made. So finger length, 1, 2, 3. This will take a little bit of a while to figure out. Never let go of your strip as you're doing this. You just keep it like that. 1, 2, 3. Move down. 1, 2, 3. And if there's a little tab in the end, you can just snip it, keep it for later. There you have the little beehive curlicues. I'm going to do it again because I know this one is a complicated one. And how much they expand afterwards, depends on how much tension you put when you curl. You can always push them together and make them smaller again. You can go in with your little tool and curl them a little tighter again. These are extremely versatile. Okay, so I'm gonna just show you how this goes in there. See how cute that is and how easy it is to fill stuff with that? Once you learn it, you won't want anything else. So on this one, I used 3 strips for the top one, of curled like that, and 1 strip for the bottom one. But we'll see how it goes on this one. Probably around the same. Space is around the same. And you see my thumb is kind of going along as I curl, just to keep the tension on it as I'm curling, so they keep tight. See, this one had no tab left over. They curled up pretty nicely. And that's something you'll learn as you do this. Sometimes you give a little more spacing, sometimes you don't. And they are all going to turn out different. It really doesn't matter. In the end, all that matters is that they will fill that space that you need filling. And see how I'm kind of squeezing the little curls as I'm pushing them in there? That is so they fit. So I got there, and then these ones will go around back in like that. There we go. Pretty cool, huh? Next up, filling this little guy up. I think I'll need less than 1 in there, but we shall see. A lot of people ask, how do I know how much of a strip I need to make this shape or that shape? And the answer is you don't. Once you have done this a gazillion times, you get pretty good at guesstimating that 1 strip with this size will fill that space, but you really just need to practice and figure out how your paper works. And that's very important. If you have strips of just regular quilling paper, they're about this thin, so half the width, and they're not cardstock, they're just regular paper. So that will give you an entirely different result for the same measurements. Let's see what we can fit in here. That looks pretty tight right there. Okay, so I think we don't need all of the strip that we just curled. There are 2 little guys sticking out. I'm just gonna cut those guys off. There we go. And now we have extra if we want to place them elsewhere. So this is pretty much how you get the wings filled. Now, I just placed the things in there. There was no glue placed. So now you have to go in and lift this up. Place some glue in there. And placing it along the wall. And on this wall too. And on the bottom a little bit. And then just go back and place these in there. So you see there's a little gap in there. I'm going to cut one of these guys and put it in there. And you can cut like individual, it doesn't really matter. Just making sure that it has enough glue. And off you go. There we go. See, that's why you keep all the little trims that you're getting out of this. So you can fill in any gap. Like in here, there's another gap. And I can just grab one of these. I'm going to measure it by the white ones that I have here. I'm going to trim that off. And then I'm going to curl it into a tight coil. Tight coils are, you just curl it, and when you reach the end, you glue it down, you don't let it expand. Okay, so you get a little tight coil, and it will fit right in that spot there. We can put a little glue down there, just make sure it will stay. There it goes. Take this one and make another one. This one I'm not even going to measure. I know it was smaller than that, so it will make it a little bit smaller, which is fine because this is going smaller too. And that is how it works. You just see what you need and you make it in the spot. I need another one for this little empty spot here. And you continue to do this with smaller and smaller to fill every little gap if you want. Now I'm going to show you how to make the little white dots, which you practically already know. Process is the same as the ones I just showed you. Slide it into the quilling tool, bring it all the way to the end, curl it into a tight coil. Now these ones will require a little more fidgeting because they are going to go into the curlicues that are already there. So let's see, where do I want it to be? I want one over here. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue in there. And while you're putting the glue in there, you can always, with a toothpick, if you don't have this, you can always push the gap open a little bit to make it easier when you're placing this guy in there. And there's really no rhyme or reason for these guys. You will place them wherever you want a dot of white. So this one is a little bit of a sticking out thing, so I'm just going to press it down on the table and it flattens the top. Just be gentle because you don't want to crush the beehive pattern. You just want to slide it in between the shapes. Good rule of the thumb is kind of leaving one space between each dot you put in. It makes it a nice even spacing. The other side is exactly the same thing, only mirrored. I'm not gonna repeat all of it with you right now. I'm just gonna show you how you use the corkboard to help you do the outline. It starts basically the same way. You do the little tab there to glue against the side of the butterfly. You shape your strip before you lay it down. See where it's hitting do the little shaping there. Basically do that. The trick here is you're going to use pins. So you have that there. I'm going to put a little bit of glue there. In fact, before I do that, I'm going to give it the shape. Okay. We're going to start the same way. Just put the glue on the edge there. And we're going to lay this down. And then I'm going to use a pin to kind of push it against the edge. Okay. Of course, it helps if you have secured your butterfly first. So put a pin on each side of the head there. Come on. And a pin down here. That way it's secure. And then you move the strips to the edge. So right here you want it to turn, so we're going to put a pin there, help it turn. Now you can also put a pin on the inside. Just know that once you do that, you're going to have a little dot where the pin was on the back of the butterfly. However, that might not matter to you at all because this will always be hidden somewhere and you won't see it. So there's that. If it helps you, just do it. Don't worry too much about the background. So you can put pins all over this line. Just remember that you'll have the little pinholes in the back when you take it off. Same thing with these shapes. You can always, when you're shaping them and all that, you can always put a pin at the edge there to hold it, and then put pins on the side to hold it in shape. And then on the bottom, you can use as many pins as you want to help you with that. Keep in mind that as you add pins to it, it becomes harder and harder to work around it because then you have this barrier of pins. But that's about it. That's just a nice little trick to help you if you need it. I will show you what the pinhole looks like on the back. See, there's a little prick there. You can imagine that if you do that all around, it's going to be full of little holes. As you can see, nothing stuck to this, which is a pretty good thing. Now that we have that settled, we only have to worry about the eyes and the antennae of your butterfly. The eyes are going to be made with these thin little strips, and they're just going to be curled into a tight coil, nothing special. As you can see, it's raised a little bit. That's just fine. We actually want that to happen. It did it by itself. If it hadn't, if it was all flat like that, you can use your tool just to push it a little bit. Be very careful with this. You don't want to just push the center through and coil. So I just want a little bit of that. One doesn't turn out with the little center poked out, so I'm gonna do that. Oops, see? What I tell you, don't do what I do. So now I just have to push it back in, which isn't always an easy thing to do. Or, easy thing to do, boop, saved. Okay, there's always a solution, guys. Don't freak out. All right, for the antennae, you have this piece, but I think this is too long. Of course, that's up to your standard, I'm not sure, but if you put it like that, yeah, it's too long. So I'm going to cut it in half and then use that. Fold that in half. And it's a much better size. Now, I'm going to give it a little curl outwards. I didn't do it on that one, and I didn't realize it would probably look nice with that. And then I'm gonna curl a little knob at the edge here. So I put my tool in here and I'm gonna twist it a little bit so I get that part, and then I'm gonna put some glue on here. And I'm going to twist it all the way around until the glue is touching the other side of the strip. Then I can take it out and hold it for a little bit, just make sure it's stuck. So basically I made a tight little coil on the edge of the strip. Same thing on the other side. Now it's time to glue that down. So we are going to try and glue that down right on the top here. What we're going to do is put this down and just slide this against it. Don't fuss too much with it and just let it glue down. For the little eyes, I am going to put some glue on, let me show you here, on the head of the butterfly and on that little tab that shows on the bottom there, and maybe even a little bit on the antennae. And I'm just going to bring these guys in there on each side. And you can also put some glue where they're touching the wings. I didn't realize that was happening, but it is. So the more security points you have, the better. And you let all of that dry out. Then you can flip your butterfly around. I'm not going to put the glue on this one because I still need to finish. Oh, I can do it on this one. That's right. All right, so once everything is glued down, you turn your butterfly around and you take your E6000 glue and your magnet, or your hot glue, that works too. Excuse my E6000 is old, so kind of have to poke it into submission. And just drop it on the center of your butterfly. This has to dry for at least an hour before you can really put any pressure on it. So let it dry, and then you'll have a beautiful, beautiful butterfly to put on your fridge. I hope you enjoyed this class. Do share your creations with me in the comments or on my page. And if you have any questions, do let me know. Thank you.